having just watched the Sonic 3 trailer, I have questions? Like, why is Gerald still alive? Because I'm pretty sure the reason Shadow goes on an insane rampage is because he misremembers what Gerald tells him. While he's dying and going mad.
We'll get to that bit because that's one of the things I want to have a go at.
So I'm going to let you go now.
As mentioned, I am a Jim Carrey fan. Jim Carrey is one of my favourite actors. Of my top 3 films of all time, it contains a Jim Carrey film, which is Truman Show. I'm sure little uns will find it funny, but honest to God, I was watching, even from that clip, I just thought, this is so phoned in. I thought like this. Like, we brought this man back from his retirement to do this role, and oh boy, does it look like he's getting the paycheck, and that's it. I mean, there's little bits and pieces. So so number one, we seem to change what happened with Maria, and as you mentioned, it's half of it's about Shadow's reasoning for doing what he's doing is that he misremembers because he's got all sorts of things happened with his brain.
And even in the game canon, there's like...
Well, there's two.
There's Maria getting shot in front of him, and then Maria ejecting him out the capsule, which she can't do if she's been shot dead on the floor.
She ejects him after she's shot. It's like her last act is getting him out of there.
Yeah, but I think in Shadow the Hedgehog, it's like remember that.
Oh, who's remembered differently, and that's point. Yeah. But then you have to ask. I like actually part of the reason I really like Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow for Shadow's story is that it's still not entirely, confirmed one way or the other which one it is, because in Shadow it's just like, oh yes, no, these are the reasons, yes, but these are the. You're getting these visions in part because of Black Doom, and he is manipulating you, so you can't actually trust them 100%. It's like you can't really necessarily trust what Shadow remembers right at the end of SA2, because he might be remembering that in that way just because of the heroic actions he's doing. It might be his subconscious playing a trick on him to justify his actions, just like his bad actions in the game. The plot of it was justified by what he remembered. So so we appear to have Maria dying in a different way, somewhat. Shadow's there, Gerald's there. We see them surrounded by soldiers. Now, I don't want to suggest that maybe they didn't want it that the President of the United States orders a hit on the lab which results in the murder of a child in a US election calendar year. I don't want to suggest that, but then again, Gerald is also alive. So
yeah, exactly.
Gerald is not executed on the order of the President of the United States as leader of the in-universe UN. So they might have changed that ever so slightly, and it also seems that it might be that Maria wasn't shot, but maybe has died as a result of an explosion, an accident, and not a government-ordained military operation that results in her assassination. This terminally ill child.
I will say, by the looks of it, the base is not the space colony.
No, it's
that I understand, because that's going to be a nightmare for your budget.
Yeah, it seems like it's what's the freaking first level in SA2 for Eggman's side? Whatever the military base one is. It looked like it was that when they showed Shadow coming out of the pod or something. It was different to the pod that they showed with the hair gel in it. Where him and Maria was just like, oh yes, hand to hand via the glass. Nothing bad will happen. We'll be friends forever. Smash.
Iron Gate, it's called.
Iron Gate. So it felt more like the end of Iron Gate than when he was coming out of the actual pod. Those were two different locations. But so Professor Gerald was the whole point of Professor Gerald's character was that he is this very kind man who just wants to do good for the world, and a bad thing happens. It's like sort of the Batman one bad day principle. Yeah. He effectively has one bad day, which is his country betraying him and
his granddaughter
his granddaughter being murdered in front of him, and then him being. Then all his work
tortured.
all his work being just taken from him, and then being imprisoned, and then being executed. There's a whole heap of crap.
To be fair, he goes mad before he gets executed.
Well, he goes mad due to the fact he's mad with grief. The whole point is that the character is a tragedy, and then you've got that as the other motivator because Professor Gerald is Shadow's father. He's his creator. He's his father. So Shadow, in like one day, loses his entire family. He loses his best friend / sister in Maria, and he loses his father, and he loses his trust, among other things.
Yes.
So them going like, "Aha, he's not dead," is just I find it pretty cheap.
No,
I find it a cop out. It's a cop out for a kid. It's a cop out for a kids' film. If this was 80s, that guy would be dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
Not only would he die, he'd die worse than he did in the game.
I mean, to be honest, it's to like prevent like angry parents on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook.
Get
heaven
angry
help us, grow up, all of you.
The thing is, this looks like it's going to be slightly darker anyway.
Well, then kill the bastard.
That's the thing, though. Is like I kind of am on that side. It's like, well, if you're gonna do that, you might as well.
But then, he's immediately portrayed as this horrendous goof because I don't know what's going on.
To be fair, that makes sense with the Eggman of that film. And I will say this: while I think Jim Carrey was fine in the first movie, I warmed up to him, but he wasn't the Eggman that I would have thought of, but at the same time it felt more like that was an origin of him going from Robotnik to Eggman. And in the second movie I actually think Jim Carrey was very good, though near the end
because they're like trying to bring like I thought from what I saw of Carey's performance, it was very much clear like this is, as you say, it's not like origin story, but it was still very much its own thing.
Yeah,
and I thought he was kind of brave to do that, actually, to actually just not go down like the nonsense.
So, this is the thing, that in the first movie it's very much its own thing.
And now that they've sort of brought, they're sort of like shoving it more and more and more in that way because he's going further down the path of madness.
Kind of. Well, so the thing with the second film is he does go a little bit loopy already, and that's where he starts taking on a little bit more of the video game Eggman traits, but there's still a little bit of the original left. And then the thing I'm suspecting is the thing is at the end of the second movie he's supposedly gone, and I think they tried to have a way where they could, if we have to write him out, he's out. But yeah, it feels a little bit like he's been forced in, if I'm going to be honest.